Let's go, girls.
Just tell me that I can and show you things that you couldn't believe.
Yo, let's go. It's Women Talking Football, or WTF for short. Of course, not to be confused with WFT. We are the women, a pair of producers here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Dave Campbell's Texas Live. Texan Live, excuse me. We were talking about Texan Live the other day, so now I always get mixed up with that. I am Mallory Hartley, the associate producer here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, sitting in the hostess chair. Never done this before. It's kind of weird. But sitting over there in the producer's chair, she's turning the dials.
Yo.
She's the executive producer and the newest co-host and analyst on Bally Sports Southwest Football Friday show. It's AP! Miss Ashley Pickle.
Dude, that blew my
go.
introduction out of the water. Like, we were bringing the
trying to-
vibes today.
You know me, I'm just trying to one-up you since
Yeah.
this is my first time in the hostess chair.
I
so
was
I'm
going to
kinda-
say, yeah, this is your, like, first. Like, not even just
I've
on
never
WTF.
sat here before in my life. And then when you said, hey, you want to host today? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm
well,
not
here
sure.
we are, and you're doing it.
But here we are. We are an internet show here every Thursday at 2 p.m. talking football in the Lone Star State. And as of right now, we are exactly 1 week, away from the start of the Texas high school football season. That is actually terrifying. It's exciting and terrifying at the same time because I know we're about to have no live here in just a couple of
Oh, yeah,
days.
no, like, this is it. It's like
Yeah.
the final week, and then it's right back into it.
Yeah. This is episode 6 of Women Talking Football.
Dude, I forgot to change that.
On today's show, it's all about the Coastal Bend region. That's okay. That's fine. Let's go ahead and start off with our new segment. We're going to call it Huddle Up. But basically, it's just a bunch of headlines that we found really around the country that we think that you guys are going to find interesting and want to hear. And also hear from Ashley Gonzalez of KIII News 3. She is the sports anchor and reporter down there in the Coastal Bend region. She's going to tell us her take on the region and the teams that are down there. And in the back half of the show, of course, we're going to give you our take on the Coastal Bend region, teams to watch, players to watch as well, and some storylines to follow during the 2022 season. But before we get to all of that, let's start off with this. Our first huddle up of the day. The WNBA drew its best viewership in 14 years.
Yeah.
Was it this week or was it
This season.
This
Like, this
season?
season, yeah.
And honestly, it fits absolutely perfectly with this show. And I know you've got an article over there going more in depth on this.
Yeah, I was fixing to say it was a headline that came across Sports Business Journal, and I know that we're women talking football, but we figured we would mention it. It's pretty cool. So games carried by national television partners, ABC, CBS, ESPN, and ESPN2 averaged 379,000 viewers. So that's up to 16% over the 2021 season. Highlights included the All-Star Game, which was the most viewed All-Star Game in 6 years. That had it averaged 734,000 viewers. That's 53% year over year that's grown just for the All-Star Game alone.
That's
like
wild.
It's crazy to hear that the season total was so high, but to think that one specific thing so many people jumped in on, that's I mean, insanely impressive.
Right.
But I just thought that was really cool. It says the league also marks new social engagement with 186 million video views across all the social handles. Total visits are like 9.2 million. That's up 79%. Unique visitors. Here's the big one. The traffic to WNBA.com nearly doubled from last year for a new unique visitor standpoint. So that's, if you don't know like the terminology, their websites are able, and like we do this with TexasFootball.com, but websites are able to see if you are a unique viewer coming to like one article, or if you've gone from like article to article to article. You still get those views from that, but they're not unique article views.
Right.
They went 5.4 million. That's up 99%.
Good
year
Lord.
over year. So whatever they're doing in the WNBA, I'm hoping that it's just people having interest in it and people realizing that it's really good basketball that you can watch.
Right.
But whatever marketing strategy, whatever social strategy, whoever that they hired recently to take that over, like, give them a raise.
Exactly.
Because that's awesome. And I hope people are buying into it.
Right. And you can talk a little bit more to that because you and Ish and one of our other friends went to a WNBA game just last week or the week before. You went to a Dallas Wings game.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, the Aces visited. Becky Hammon is the Las Vegas Aces coach. Love her to death. She was the longtime Spurs assistant who should get that job afterwards. I'm holding on to that. Like, I genuinely, you want here's conspiracy theory pickle coming in.
Here we
go. My thing is, I think that Pop's got about 3 or 4 more years. I genuinely think that they told Becky, hey, go get some head coaching experience over here. Once Pop's gone, come back and it's yours. Fingers crossed.
Oh, man.
I'll lose my mind if Becky Hammon is the head coach of the Spurs. Like, I will lose my mind. That's a total side note. The point of all of this was we went to the Wings Aces game at the College Park Center. Shout out City of Arlington. But it was awesome, man. The game atmosphere is actually inspiring women's night, which was really cool.
It's perfect.
I had no idea, and Ish was the one that was like, hey, the Aces are coming to town. And I was like, you brought us here on Inspiring Women Night. I was like, one, you can't be mean to me. Like, that was the stipulation. Like, listen here, Ishmael, you can't be mean.
That's
really cool.
I think if that happens, maybe, just maybe, and I'm not going to make any promises here, but maybe you'll get me to a Spurs game.
Yeah, va Spurs va.
Maybe, maybe, and maybe I'll root for the Spurs then. But that's also just a hypothetical circumstance.
Go Spurs, go.
There you go. There's our first huddle up of the day. Moving on. The college football 2022 preseason true freshman All-American team was released. And if you don't know what this is, it's just an annual list that ESPN puts out because why not make lists? Because people love lists. They love rankings of just all of the best true freshmen that they think are coming into the new season. And why would you care about this? Well, if you're watching this show, you're obviously a fan of Texas high school football. And there are 7 Texas high school football players on the list. And I'll go ahead and read them out right now, starting with LSU linebacker and Cy Park alum Harold Perkins.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal player, a name that you guys probably already know. Texas Tech linebacker and KIII High School. Shout out Trevor. KIII High School alum. Ty Kana. Texas offensive lineman and Humble Summer Creek alum, Mr. Kelvin Banks Jr. Another Texas offensive lineman and Frisco High School alum, Cole Hudson. Also on our super team. A lot of these guys are on our super team.
Yeah, almost all of them.
Yeah, I think literally all of them. Texas A&M wide receiver and Frisco Liberty High School alum, Evan Stewart. TCU wide receiver and Garland High School alum Jordan Hudson. And, of course, to round it all out, we've got Clemson quarterback and Westlake alum Cade Klubnik. And I really like that they do that, too, because I feel like a lot of the true freshmen don't get a lot of the hype because a lot of them, most of them just don't start, you know, and you don't really know much about them. You don't really know who they are. So putting out lists like this, I think, are always to the advantage of the viewership of college football fans because you learn more about your team. You learn more about where they're from. And I just think it's a really good idea that they were able to do this.
Yeah, I think it gives people some peace of mind knowing that, oh, hey, Clemson, if Cade doesn't start, if someone goes down, look what you have. You have a preseason true freshman All-American team member and Cade Klubnik coming up. But no, those are all very, very notable high school football names that you've seen time in and time out. But I don't think that there was one name on that list that we went, oh, wow, we're kind of surprised by that. It was like, yep.
Right. And you'll see these guys making pretty big impacts in their teams probably here in the next couple of years just because they're all so talented.
Some of them will absolutely be starting this year. I don't think Cade will.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised to see Ty out there a little bit.
Harold Perkins, I wouldn't be surprised to see him start. Yeah. Well, and also I don't know for sure if Cole Hudson is starting. I wouldn't be surprised if he is just because he's so big and that's what they need. They need size on that offensive line. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him start too. But yeah, keep up with those players. It's always fun to see Texas high school football alum doing some big things in the college football world and at the next level. And our last headline of the day, on a more serious note, I should say.
Yeah, I was
This
going to
one's,
say, prepare yourself for hard-hitting
yes.
journalism here.
Yes.
This is about as deep as we're going to get.
Yes, very serious. Let's put our serious glasses on here. I was scrolling through Twitter today trying to find headlines, as we do, because we're journalists. We scroll through and find news on Twitter all the time.
Yep.
And I came across an article. And I'll just read you the headline of this article.
Okay.
It says, Snake bites toddler. And a 2-year-old keeps biting back until the snake dies. I saw that and I was like, what is going on?
So it's a 2-year-old little girl.
Yeah,
which
fits into the show perfectly because she's a 2-year-old female toddler.
Badass. Like, to put it quite frank, she's
Badass.
a 2-year-old little badass.
literally. But just seeing this headline, I was like, okay, no way this is real. You know, you can't trust everything that you see on Twitter.
Yeah,
so you got to go.
This has like big
more
onion
in-depth.
energy to it. You know,
for
like
sure.
intentionally making fun of some other article.
Yep. Sure enough, it's real. And I'll read you the first little tidbit here in this article. It says, a 2-year-old girl in Turkey killed a snake by biting it to death after the snake reportedly attacked her lip. The incident happened in the village of Kanto, which stinks because whenever I bite my lip, it hurts really bad. And I can't imagine a snake biting your lip, dude. That sounds miserable.
She's little. She's got like a little mouth, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's not much surface area. It's not like taking a bite out of her calf, you know, like which is still little.
Exactly. Well, and the best thing about this article is it gives you a timeline of literally all the events. And so the first one
Let's
says,
dive in.
yeah, well, let's dive right into the events that happened this day. I think that this was her pet snake because the first headline says playing with snakes. So I believe
Okay, they're into some weird stuff over there in Turkey if you're letting your 2-year-old daughter play with a pet snake.
Yeah, dude, I'm not. I don't like snakes in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. One of my best friends from high school, I guess probably elementary school, excuse me. We go way back. She's got a pet snake, and it's a little bitty corn snake, but I won't go near that thing. I'm like, get that thing away from me. I don't want anything to do with that.
The 2-year-old? They'll be fine.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I don't know what I think it was a boa constrictor, it looks like. But yeah, so.
Whoa!
The first one is playing with snakes. That was the first headline, or the first
It's the first
event
wrong.
that happened. Yes. The second was screaming was heard. Screaming. So, of course, I bet the parents were just like, oh, maybe she fell off her bed. You know, I bet their first thought wasn't, my toddler just got bit by her pet snake.
Okay, and there's a real big difference between, like, pet snake and boa constrictor.
Okay,
like,
maybe I said that. Maybe it's not a boa.
If it's a boa constrictor, that's insane because those are, like, the big old snakes.
Well,
like,
the thumbnail to this picture is a boa constrictor. So,
oh, my goodness.
I don't know if it's hers, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was. So that was the second event
like, those
that happened.
can literally strangle, like, a grown human.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know.
To death.
Yeah, so
like, squeeze.
Why let your 2-year-old? I wonder if she asked for the snake, or if like the parents were like,
She
yeah, it's a
can't
good
even
idea.
probably
Oh yeah, it's a good idea to buy our child a pet snake. I don't know. The next thing that happens is, of course, the snake bites the toddler in the lip, which just stinks. That just hurts real bad. That hurts me just thinking about it.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that happens next. Now the fourth part to this article.
Oh my
says,
God, I'm exhausted.
I know. It just says don't touch snakes. So I guess we de-escalate from the snake bit the toddler, and then to the don't touch the snakes.
Okay.
And then it says the toddler then bit the snake and killed. and here's why I want to bring this up, because we can all learn a very valuable lesson.
Other than don't
toddler.
buy your 2-year-old a boa constrictor.
Don't buy anybody a snake. First of all, that is rule number 1. Don't buy anybody a snake.
I'm on that bandwagon.
Okay.
You don't need a pet snake.
The second lesson that you can learn from this article, and I'm going to dive in deep here, all right?
Okay.
When life gets hard and bites you in the butt, you bite back. You bite life back, and you come back even stronger, and you kill it at life. Was that not good? That was good, right?
Here
that
we
was
are
good.
On WTF motivation. Literally, no, I'm not talking the WTF acronym that we use on the show. I'm talking the other WTF acronym. When a boa constrictor bites your lip, bite it back.
Yeah, there you go.
When life bites you in the butt,
Bite
be
it
like
back.
the badass 2-year-old Turkish little girl and bite it back.
Do you think we could have her on the show?
Oh.
She'd be like,
That'd be
I bit steak.
awesome. We would literally it's like, oh, we're supposed to be doing the DFW regional breakdown. Like it's no, we're calling ISO. We're getting the little Turkish girl who bites snakes.
that sounds great to me. Who cares about
That's a
regions?
lot.
Let's just go and talk to the girl that killed the snake. But
It's a lot to break down.
it is a lot to break down. But
Well,
anyways,
good for her.
good for her.
Bite life
Bite
back.
life back. There's your headlines.
The
I
motto.
hope you enjoyed those. We are Women Talking Football, or WTF for short. We're here every Thursday at 2 p.m. talking football and football regions around the state of Texas. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Now we're on Google Podcasts. Please go like, rate, and subscribe because we're always open to constructive criticism. We want to know what you guys like. We want to know what you guys don't like. We want to know what we can do more of for you guys. So please go listen to us on those podcasts and give us some good reviews and let us know what we can do for you. Before we get into our special guest pickle, let's go ahead and hear a word from our good friends at VCR Now.
Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texas loves doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful, long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW.
There you go. There's our good friends at VCR Now. Now the presenting sponsor of Texas Football Today. So if you want to hear more about them or more of them, go ahead and visit their website there or just watch Texas Football Today. They talk about them all the time. So
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah. All right, Pickle. Let's go to the hotline and bring in KIII 3 News sports anchor and reporter, Miss Ashley Gonzalez, down there in the coastal Bend region. Ashley, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good, good. Honestly, it sounds kind of weird saying Ashley because I'm like,
Dude,
wait,
I am so
there's
pumped.
2 Ashleys
We always
here.
on TFT we always have like multiple Gregs every single week, and I'm like, we need more Ashley representation in this place. You know
And
who
more
we
Mallory.
should call? Ashley Gonzalez.
That's what I'm saying. Well, Ashley, it's so good to have
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's so good to have you on. You know, this is one of our favorite segments to do every week. We just love talking to other female reporters around the state of Texas just to hear what you guys have to say. Before we get into the nitty-gritty football talk like we do here, we always like to ask you your elevator pitch. You know, how did you get to where you are today, and what made you want to work in the sports industry in the first place?
Ooh, that is awesome. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. You gals are super awesome to listen to. And well, I grew up just playing sports all the time. Like every time we'd go to my grandma's house, which was like every day, I'd play with the little Sandlot boys, and we would just, play everything: baseball, football, soccer, basketball. And eventually I really wanted to just play sports outside of high school, but I didn't because I just did not meet the requirements. So I just found a different way to just be involved still. And so, yeah, I just went to school over at A&M Kingsville and just did what I can and just surrounded myself with people who can, I don't know, just help me stay positive through the whole journey and stuff, just because the whole women in sports things can get, discouraging. But when you surround yourself with really cool people, positive people, it kind of works out. So I just tried my best to do that and just stay as close as I can.
Man, that's awesome. And if that's not the story of my life, having to talk about sports because you can't play sports, man.
Yeah,
that
that's all
is
three
that
of
is
us.
me in a nutshell. That's all of us here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. But all right, Ashley, let's get right into it. When you look at the Coastal Bend region as a whole, you look at each classification and you realize, oh, right now there's at least one ranked team in each classification. So, of course, the region as a whole is pretty dang good. So what are some of those underlying storylines that you think that people should be paying attention to heading into this 2022 football season?
Oh man, that's you're right. No, every region there's like that one team where it's like, oh man, like they're gonna have quite the season. But I guess so. One of the previews that I went to personally was over in Refugio. That's where you and I met, Ashley.
Yes, it is.
Over at we actually met in Victoria, but we were at the Refugio and Shiner game. And that game was kind of an upset, I feel like, as far as on the Refugio side. So meeting them this season and talking to head coach Jason Herring, it was like, okay, this is like a new slate that this team is ready for and on. So hopefully you and I can, meet in person again, and it'll be a different story for Refugio because, oh man, Shiner, I don't know, they really had it in them. And if you remember the Brooks brothers, they were such the duo. One of them graduated and he's over in Kingsville now. But there's still a Brooks brother there who I think he's committed to A&M College Station, right, Ash? And
yes.
I don't know. I think Refugio really has it this time around, hopefully. So I would say Refugio is definitely one of those teams to watch, just given just the upset that Shiner really gave them.
For sure. And yeah, we'll get to see that matchup early on in the season too, because they'll be in the same district this season. But moving on from kind of the bigger names like Refugio and Ganado, what are some of the teams down there in the Coastal Bend region that you think may be a bit of a sleeper this year that might not be on some people's radar?
Might not be on some people's radar. Oof, that is, I don't know, that's hard just because so many teams moved up or down or, side to side sometimes. And I don't know. That one is pretty rough because there's been a lot of changes as far as head coaches and stuff like that. Like, for example, in Banqueta, it's a smaller school, little 3A school. They have a new head coach, Lance Rydell. He was the defensive coordinator. He moved up. But with Banqueta, there's just been a whole lot of moving around and doing this and that with Banqueta and Orange Grove. The Orange Grove QB, transferred to Alice. That's Cutter Stewart, and I'm sure you've heard that name. Gosh, I don't know. I'm thinking Orange Grove or, Banqueta. They're in different divisions, but I don't know. They got something up their sleeve. And with all the moving around, you never know if it's like a move and, something great happens or it's a move and you don't know. It's just up in the air. That's what I'm sure we all love about sports. It's you have to watch it. You have to experience it. And then whatever happens. Anything can happen in the world of sports. I love it.
That's what makes it exciting too.
It does, no doubt. And Ashley, going back to last season, one of those teams that last season we might have said, hey, this team might be off of someone's radar. Now they're going in with a big radar, a big target on their chest in Corpus Christi Flower Bluff. Obviously, you got to watch their run to the state semifinals last year for the first time in state history, or in program history for them. Do you think that now they're a team that when people hear about them, they go, oh, wait, look, you're not creeping up on us this year?
Oh yeah, no, Flower Bluff was that team, and then that upset between Flower Bluff and Vets, where Flower Bluff moved on and made school history. It was like, oh man, like let's go. But then their QB Nash Villegas, he graduated. He was it kind of starts with the QB and of course like the whole team, but it starts with that guy. Well, he's gone, and now we have that new QB Johnny, who's going to be stepping up. And I think when you come off a season like that, you are just the bar is already so high, and you want to keep it up there. So yeah, they're definitely that team, and I don't know. Let's see who was able to knock them out. But again, all these schools who are in these districts, they just all have something to prove this year. This year is just a completely brand new year. I think last year and the year before with the whole pandemic stuff, a lot of these teams didn't have their junior varsities, and that is really what builds up these varsities. Really, 5-star varsity teams. So now this time around, this is probably the freshest start for every Texas high school football team.
No doubt about that. We've talked about some of the teams to watch in the Coastal Bend region, so let's go ahead and switch over to some of the players to watch in the region. And Ashley, I want to ask you this. What are some of those players, those top-tier talent that you think that people should pay attention to this season? Because just from doing my research about this region, there's a ton of talent down there.
Absolutely. I think it's no surprise to talk about Miller in this category. Lonnie Atkinson, the wide receiver, he had a massive year last year. And he committed to Sam Houston, and he was just on the map last season. And so that's just the first kid that comes to mind. He is just a phenomenal kid to watch. And so this is one of those seasons and one of those kids where you're like, oh man, like I really can't wait to watch them. Just because like every year, every new team that comes up, you graduate seniors and stuff like that. But Lonnie, this is his year. I mean, last year was his year too. But this season it's going to be really cool to see what not only Atkinson does, but what Miller does. For sure, number one kid that I would say, Lonnie Atkinson, definitely that kid to look out for.
We know that the entire Coastal Bend region is just full of great rivalries. You have, I mean, literally town shut down, get out there. Which rivalry have you been to down there that you look forward to the most every single year?
Ooh, well, actually, so I haven't experienced this yet, but this is something that Chris was filling me in on. It is the Miller and gosh, I gotta go back to the archives in my head. Miller and I think it's oh my gosh, Miller and Vets Memorial. So a few years ago, they completely packed the house over at Buck Stadium with like over 12,000 fans. So that's something that I'm going to be able to experience for the first time this season, because last season we didn't get that matchup because of districts and whatnot. But that is something that I have not experienced yet, but I am super excited to see that. That is something that I think the town is ready for and excited for. Everyone else has experienced it, but little tempers Ash over here, so I'm ready for that one.
Let me tell you, tempers are high in that game. You'll enjoy it.
Oh God, I'm excited.
So what's the first game on your schedule this year? Where are you going to first?
Oh man, actually, next week I believe I'm going to be going to Alice to see that matchup.
Nice.
Alice actually is one of those teams that they could have a really good year this year. Last season they had a decent season, you know what I'm saying? But this season I think they have that QB Cutter Stewart, who came from Orange Grove, and he had about 8,000 yards when he was playing with Orange Grove. So Alice, that's going to be something special. But that is my first game. I'm excited to see Mr. Cutter Stewart in person.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're excited for you too. And before we let you go, I do have one last question for you. It's no secret that Pickle and I are big seafood fans.
Yes.
And down there in the Coastal Bend region, I'm sure you've got a lot of good, amazing, great seafood. So if we were going to head down there for, let's say, Corpus Christi, Flower Bluff, and Gregory Portland, where should we go eat on a Friday afternoon before the game?
Oh, snap.
Do you like seafood? I guess that's the first question.
Oh.
Yeah, that is a good. I probably should have asked that first.
I am like the least picky person on
good.
This
Our girl.
Like that.
Everything.
Come out with us.
Oh my God. I hope I'm able to join y'all for whenever you guys come. I'm not really sure if you would consider this the Bluff area, but I recently actually experienced this first time over at Docks. It's right over the bridge, causeway, I should say. It's there right on the water. Beautiful view if y'all love a good view. Sometimes like if you're super lucky, you'll see some like dolphins in the water, which is like super beautiful and like amazing. Shout out Mother Nature. And I would just say Docks, honestly. I think another favorite, which is not in that area, but if you come back, which I hope you guys do, would be Pier 99. They also a beautiful view. I am a sucker for a really nice view.
That's right there by
really
the ship, right?
seafood.
The USS, whoa, I can't remember what number it is. Something.
USS Lexington.
The Lexington, yes.
Yeah, next to the State Aquarium. So that's also really cool.
Nice. Go over to, next time that you're over there by Docks, go like one restaurant over and go to Snoopy's, and then there's the ice cream shop Scoopy's right next to it. That was like my favorite growing up.
Oh, growing up. Wait, are one of y'all from the Coastal Bend?
No, we used to go down there a lot during the summer. So, yeah, we absolutely love that area down there. We're very jealous of you living by the beach.
Oh, yeah. That's on my bucket list to go down there for sure. But there she is, Miss
awesome.
Ashley Gonzalez, sports anchor and sports reporter for KIII News 3 down in the Coastal Bend region. Ashley, really appreciate you joining us here today and telling these folks about the Coastal Bend region.
Absolutely. Thank you, gals, so much for having me. I cannot wait to meet you in person, Mal and Ash. I'll see you in the future. And again, I really appreciate y'all having me. And we'll chat later, I hope.
Absolutely. Tell Chris we said hi.
Absolutely. Oh, it's his birthday. So go ahead.
Happy birthday, Chris
birthday,
Thomason.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll let him know y'all said what's up. But I'm sure he'd be excited to see y'all's tweets and posts and stuff. Happy birthday or something like that.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you so much, Ashley, and best of luck to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Likewise.
All right, there she goes, Miss Ashley Gonzalez, again there at KIII 3 News, sports anchor and sports reporter down there. You can follow her on Twitter at Ashley_Gonz, Gonz, 14 for all your Coastal Bend region sports news.
Yeah, she was awesome. We met at that the Shiner Refugio regional finals last year, and it was her and Chris. They're a great pair, an awesome sports department down there. So we appreciate all our friends at KIII.
Yeah.
KIII.
I messed it up like 4 times. Like I gotta slow down and like look at the screen and be like KIII 3 News. But anyways, there she goes. She's fantastic, and hopefully we can get down there to a game at some point. But all right, let's move on, Pickle. You just heard Ashley Gonzalez's take on the Coastal Bend region, players to watch, teams to look out for, and some storylines to follow during the season. But now it's time to give you our take on the Coastal Bend region. And personally, this is probably one of my favorite regions because it's near the beach.
The beach.
The beach.
We love the beach. If we haven't made that incredibly clear, we love the beach.
Why are we in DFW? There's no beaches here.
Yeah, okay, so how easy do you think it would be to go up to, like, we need to go into our president's office today and go, Adam, we have an idea.
You know,
Here
I think it would be more beneficial I think I'd get more work done if we moved the office down to the beach. Coast.
Yeah.
Any coast.
Any
just
coast.
The coast.
Yeah.
But preferably the coast.
See, I keep saying we need to go to the RGV
because
we get all that the RGV has to offer, but we also get South Padre Island, which is the beach. So I've been beating that drum for 2.5 years.
We're workshopping some stuff on this show right now, and I like
big idea territory.
This is big. We got some big ideas going on here. But anyways, yeah, there you go. There are 53 total teams in the Coastal Bend region, 14 of which are ranked in our DCTF preseason poll. And if you're wondering, that's 26% of the region that is ranked, and that is not one of the top percentages, right? What was our top one that we have? Is it 53%? No, it wasn't that high, was it? Was it 30%? 40%?
No, it was up in the 30s.
It was up in the 30s?
Yeah,
okay,
30% is
right.
Everywhere's been in between like 25 and like 37, I think, was our highest. I need to go back and look.
Right. But what I think is most impressive with this region is that, like I mentioned earlier on the phone with Ashley, is that in every single classification, minusing divisions, because there's, I think, 2A Division 2, there aren't any teams that are ranked. But in each classification down to 2A, 5 to 2A, because there's no 6A teams in the Coastal Bend region, there's at least one ranked team in that classification. So I think that's pretty interesting. But I'm sure you're wondering which 14 teams are ranked in the Coastal Bend region. So let's go ahead and start with Class 5A Division 1, because like I said, there's no 6A.
Yeah, the highest one here, Class 5A Division 1. They are a perennial powerhouse since they became a school down there. Number 11 in Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial. Then we go down to 5A Division 2, and you're going to see district buddies now. Woo. Number 16, Gregory Portland, Coach Brent Davis and his staff. And then the aforementioned number 19, Corpus Christi Flower Bluff Hornets, who last year made it to the state semifinalist. They were state semifinalists for the first time in school history. So we will get into that district, not only that region, but that district in particular in a bit. Moving on now to 4A Division 1. This is where you'll see the bulk of the teams here. In number 4, El Campo, the Rice Birds. We will definitely talk about them. And this is this is another one of those teams that's really kind of out in an area that it's kind of hard to classify.
Yeah.
Them, and we've talked a lot about Refugio, so there's no surprise that they're a ranked team that we'll talk about in a second. But both of those are kind of more in that middle of nowhere region. They're not in like that depth of Corpus Christi.
Right.
So say what you will, but El Campo definitely fits in best right there in the coastal region. Then we bring it back to Corpus Christi. We go to number 6 in Corpus Christi, Cal Allen, who will not have Phil Danaher as their head coach. Long time winningest coach in high school football history. For the first time in 40 years, it will be Steve Campbell taking over. So a new look, kind of, Corpus Christi Cal Allen team. And then rounding it out in 4A Division 1, we go to number 18 in Rockport Fulton. Moving on to 4A Division 2, we have Coach Michael Troutman's excited always Sinton Pirates sitting at number 13. If you've ever had a conversation with Coach Troutman, it is like, if the dial only goes up to 10, he's at a 17 at all times. It is awesome.
I feel like that's me, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, he can say, like, hi, and I'm ready to run through a brick wall. He's
Let's
like,
go.
hi, Bagel. And I'm like, oh, my God, let's go. And then rounding out 4A Division 2, it is number 20 in Ingleside, who's a team that I think that you should keep your eye on a little bit.
For sure.
3A Division 1, we have number 9, Edna, and then number 19 in Vanderbilt Industrial, the Vipers pulling in there. 3A Division 2, number 9, East Bernard, and we'll round that out with number 17 in Tidehaven. And then we get down to the smallest classification with representation in the Coastal Bend, and it might be the most prolific team who has the best chance to make it to AT&T Stadium in the number 3 Refugio Bobcats. And then rounding it out there, another team that has just always in the rankings, always in the hunt, kind of down there, number 16 in Ganado. So those are the 14 total teams that are ranked in the Coastal Bend region.
It's a lot of good teams.
It really
is.
is.
Matchups, too, because a lot of them are going to be playing each other as well.
Well, and the consistency in the Coastal Bend is always what I think.
Right.
And it's not necessarily consistency in getting to AT&T Stadium. I wouldn't say that all the time we see them as like state contenders,
Right.
but they are always right there in the rankings. Like, you're going to have someone in the top 10 year in and year out, and they rep that hard. And the coolest thing about the Coastal Bend in my mind is when they do make it far in the playoffs, it doesn't matter if you're from Vets and at Miller's playing, you're showing up.
Yep.
Like, there is the rivalry when they're playing each other, but if you get to go play a regional final, usually it's against an RGV team or something. Like, usually it's against an Austin team and they meet
Right.
in San Antonio. All of the Coastal Bend travels. They rep the flag, and I think that's the best part about the Coastal Bend region.
Yeah, that's what makes football so great is those fans that travel to almost every game, because that's not like that in every state.
No, absolutely not.
Let's move on to some of the players to watch in the Coastal Bend region. And like we mentioned earlier, there is a lot of talent.
Yeah.
A lot of talent here in this region. But let's go ahead and start off with Corpus Christi Miller, wide receiver Lonnie Adkism. It's one of those names that I'm just like, I got to sound out.
Yeah.
You heard Ashley talk about him earlier. He's kind of the star guy that Corpus Christi Miller has this season. He's 6'1", 185 pounds, and he's committed to the eventual Division 1 FBS school, Sam Houston State. I'm going to read you his junior campaign real quick because
right.
it's going to take a lot out of you. He put up 1,638 yards and 18 receiving touchdowns. I'm no mathematician, like I said all the time, but that's pretty dang good if you ask me. And and he could finish his career as one of the most productive pass catchers in state history. Yeah. So if I was you, keep your eye on this guy. He also has some experience on playing both sides of the ball. He played a little bit in the secondary as a sophomore, but definitely going to be quarterback's go-to guy this season.
Well, and the thing that was most impressive about Lonnie was watching him very early on. We saw him really, really take spark because you'll remember, not last year, but the year before last, so I guess the 2020 season, he had... and 2019. I mean, he had Andrew Body throwing to him. Now the Texas Southern quarterback, who was one of the best talents that we've seen out of the Corpus Christi area in really forever. But he really bumped his numbers up there because as a very young player. So the most impressive thing is we're sitting there going, okay, is it just because he has superstar talent, Andrew Body throwing to him, or is this kid really as talented as we think that he is? And he's proved. Now Miller still has fantastic quarterback play, but he has proved to be, it doesn't matter if it's the best quarterback that the Coastal Bend has ever seen or if it's a quarterback that's maybe not as talented as Andrew Body. Lonnie Atkinson is one that you have to keep an eye on.
For sure. Moving on to Gregory Portland, defensive lineman, Khalid Goldsby. Khalid, it's probably Khalid Goldsby. I'm just going to go off of the rapper Khalid, but, anyways. He's entering his senior season as a 6'2", 215-pound defensive end. Now, while watching his tape earlier today, I noticed that he's really quick off the edge, and he's got a really, really good eye for the ball. I couldn't find his stats or anything because it's harder as you move down the ranks to find, specific statistics like that.
Lineman.
For sure. But I'd be really interested to see how many tackles for a loss he's had this season, or just really how many tackles he's made behind the line of scrimmage, because he knows he can get back there super quickly, and he's got to take for the ball.
Oh yeah, and obviously he's blowing past those offensive lines and getting plenty of sacks, but I think, like you said, the best thing is being able, not everyone at that size specifically can take a step off the line.
Exactly.
And get the follow-up play. Once they've broken the line of scrimmage, it's a lot harder to maneuver that big of a body. And yeah, he's good. He's got really good feet.
He's going to be a problem on the edge for sure. And this guy, of course, needs no introduction to you guys. El Campo running back Ruben Owens.
Have you heard of him?
I think
seems
that's
right.
How you say it, but yeah, this dude's. I'm gonna say it. He's the best running back in the state. There is no going around that. Nearly reached 3,000 yards last season, 46 touchdowns rushing, and he's also got 2 receiving touchdowns. And looking at that stat, to me, says how versatile this player really is. He can catch the ball. He's super fast. I just think that you can't go around saying that he's not the best running back in the state. With those kinds of numbers and being so versatile like he is, I really just don't see how you can't say that.
No, and we've been saying that for years. I mean, there's been no doubt about that. What I love about watching Ruben Owens play is his play on the defensive side of the ball too, because he's, like you said, the best running back in the state. Is there that much of a reason for him to go out there and give it his all on defense? No, but he does.
Right.
So yeah, coach is very happy to have him in his pocket.
And I think too, when you can run the ball really well and you can also catch, putting yourself on the other side of the ball too, just to try and see, you're going to do well.
Oh, I mean,
those skills translate to the other side of the ball.
I was at their game last year against Bernie Champion. Now, Bernie Champion had, 6 of their starters out with injury, so it was an off game for them. But Ruben Owens in the first half had 200 yards and 2 or 3 interceptions in that game. I mean, it was unbelievable to watch the clinic he put on.
Jeez. Yeah, with him on this El Campo team, I don't see why they can't make a good run in the playoffs this season. He's verbally committed to Louisville, but of course right now verbal commitments don't mean much. So
we'll see. I would
probably
be surprised.
It's going to change. I'm just going to say that. Moving on down to Goliad cornerback Demetrius Steptoe.
One of the best names in the state.
I was just about to say that, Steptoe. But before we get into Steptoe, I want to talk a little bit about Goliad
Before
first.
we step into Steptoe. Put 'em.
Turn your mic off.
I'll be here all week.
Turn your mic off.
No,
right
you're
now.
not running the board today, ma'am. I have full control over here.
I can't reach it over there. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Goliad first before we get into him. In 2020, Goliad went winless, 0-9, did not win a single game. Last year, they were able to turn it on the Jets a little bit. They went 6-5.
Big turnaround.
Yeah, and clinched a playoff berth. And what does that say about that? Almost every single defensive starter from last year is returning. So let's go ahead and talk about Demetrius Steptoe. I think that stat right there says that he's going to be set up for success in this defensive system. He's leading the way with 7 interceptions on the season last year, and he's only a junior. So I think Goliad's definitely lucky to have him back in the secondary.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll be the key leader on that defense, especially now that he's considered an upperclassman. Yeah. But we've known he's been the leader on that defense since he stepped foot on that Goliad team.
Let's talk about some big men.
Big men.
Odom, offensive lineman. Matthew Acosta, man. There's a reason Odom went 11-1 last season, and we'll talk more about Odom later. But I think size and talent in the trenches had a lot to do with that. They were led by Acosta. He's 5'10", 285 pounds. And guys, we say it all the time. When you've got that kind of size on the line at a 3A, 2A, even 1A school, you're set up for success. I think like I said, big size up front is always a good thing to have. But when you have a guy that can stick with his blocks and free up that space for the backfield, you're gonna do well. You're gonna have a good season for sure. Moving on down to another offensive lineman, we've got Refugio offensive lineman RJ Moore, and here's more Refugio talk if you guys were missing it.
And guess what? We're going to talk about him again later.
Refugio, of course, needs no introduction. I think they really seem to have talent in every position.
Oh, yeah. They're always big, too.
Year.
I mean, that's just the thing. They've got skill players. They're always big. But, yeah, J.R. Moore has been a key staple in that line, which they've needed a little bit the past couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. He's 6'1", 210 pounds, and it's like we said always. It's always good to have that kind of size up front, especially in a lower classification. He's also our Class 2A preseason All-State team, so be on the lookout for him.
This is actually like one of my favorite names in the state.
Okay,
when I was doing the magazine last year and came across this, I literally sent a screenshot to Tepper, and I was like, this rules.
When I searched his name, you know what pictures came up? Not pictures of Nemo Jacobo. Nemo the fish. And I was like, all right, well, that's not what I want, but thanks. We've got, is it Agua Dulce?
Yes.
Okay, linebacker Nemo Jacobo. Our District 16 2A Division II preseason defensive MVP. But he also plays quarterback, too. Just you want to throw that in there. It's pretty dang cool. He's probably, I would say, the most impactful player that this team has on and off the field this season. The Longhorns have great experience coming back really on both sides of the ball and really look to be a force to be reckoned with in District 16 2A Division II.
Unbelievable name. School name.
Great. It's great.
Kid's name. All of it. I have no notes.
No
notes on Agua Dulce linebacker Nemo Jacobo.
Except a picture of a fish.
No notes.
No notes. So there you go. There's some players to watch in the Coastal Bend region. We've been saying it the whole time. There is a lot of talent down there. So good to bring up some of those names. And lastly, Pickle, let's go to storylines to follow in the Coastal Bend region. First up, we got a district to watch, and that is, we already mentioned them before. It's District 15 5A Division 2, and I'd say that if you got a district and you got one team that's ranked in it, that's pretty cool, right? That's good. What if you got two teams that are ranked in the preseason DCTF poll? Is it AP DCTF preseason? But it's a lot of words. A lot of words there. But two teams. Let's go ahead and start off with Gregory Portland. As you remember, they are ranked number 16 in the preseason poll, and Corpus Christi Flower Bluff ranked 19 in the poll. Both made pretty good deep playoff runs last season, but if you remember, Gregory Portland fell short to Corpus Christi Flower Bluff in the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
something like that last season. So,
they played in the regional finals there, and then that's what pushed Flower Bluff into, because Gregory Portland is perennial name to know down in the Coastal Bend area. So when they met up, we were going, oh man, like how cool would that be for Flower Bluff to be able to push through that, get to their first state semifinal but yeah, they fell to them, and that's what pushed Flower Bluff into the state semifinal, then losing to eventual 5A Division I state champion Katy Paetow, because they are drop downs.
Right. But both teams also have a lot coming back on both sides of the ball, so definitely going to be a tough district to play in this season. Tough for both of them too, because they got to play each other at some point, and so it's going to be some hard-nosed hitting football.
Right, and you can expect these teams to most likely finish 1A, 1B.
For sure.
Because the interesting thing about this district when we were watching realignment and putting it together was the fact that they're paired up with RGV teams, and we don't typically see that from either of these teams. So to see them kind of end up, they went to that 5A Division II classification and looked around, and it was like, man, we don't have many options around here. There's not many teams in that area of the state, so they looked up, and the only place they really could go was down there to the RGV. So basically you have these two teams, a bunch of RGV teams. So this likely, I would say, would decide the district championship of who is going to win that game.
Right. So there you go. There's a district to watch if you needed one. Some good talent in there. But let's go ahead and switch gears here to some dark horses, specifically in 3A. We put out a section every year in the DCTF magazine of about 4 to 5 dark horses to watch in each classification. And 2 from the Coastal Bend region are in that section. We've got bowling, like a bowling ball. I like it. And Odom. Both starting the year unranked. If you remember, I mentioned earlier that Odom went 11-1 last season, which you might say, hey, that should break grounds to be a ranked team, you know. But the thing with Odom is that their district schedule is fairly easy.
Right. Yeah,
They've
should have
an easy schedule. And so one of the things that we take into account, every ranking poll takes into account, is the strength of schedule. And if your strength of schedule isn't super difficult, then you're probably going to fall in the rankings. Odom has an unbelievable dual threat quarterback. I've got his name, Hunter Dawson, who's got quite a few really good weapons around him. And so with him leading the team, I think that Odom is definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with in 3A.
Yeah, I think that they're the clear-cut favorite there in District 16. So then when we get to that point, then you kind of stop and you take a look at the region, and it's basically the same player. Even though realignment happened, not a whole lot switched with 3A Division 2 here. And so what you look at is you have teams like Poth, which they lost to in the regional semis last year, and then the other team, which is also in this region in the Coastal Bend, would be East Bernard. So they lost to Poth last year. You get there and you think, okay, if we can make it to that thing, I think that Odom has the pieces that they need to push past that. I think Poth might be taking a little bit of a step back this year, but with Poth taking a little bit of a step back, I am really high on East Bernard. I think that they're being a little bit slept on this year, so I think that those will be the 3 teams in 3A Division 2 Region 4 that you really need to keep your eye on. But Odom is right there in the mix.
For sure. And our second team that we think is going to be a dark horse, we've got Bowling. They are picked to finish 3rd in District 14 3A Division 2, but that's because they are behind Tidehaven and East Bernard, both teams that are ranked in our preseason poll here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. They got a ton of experience coming back on both sides of the ball with a lot of depth pretty much at every position that they've got. And a stat that I found that was pretty cool, this is the most experience they have coming back as a team since their state title appearance back in 2016 when they lost to Gunner, I believe, in the state finals. So if all the stars align, I think that's a good indication that this bowling team's going to have a good season. You know, they're going to have to get past Tidehaven and East Bernard at some point because they're all in the same district. But if they can turn on the Jets and they can get something cooking on offense, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, yeah. They've got 10 starters returning on offense and 11 starters returning on defense. When we say, like, almost everyone's back, we mean quite literally there is one starter not back on the offense. Everyone else is back.
Right.
So that in and of itself is going to bump you up.
Right.
And the other side of that, one of those returning starters is the quarterback, which is coach's son.
Yeah.
So anytime you have a coach's son at quarterback, I personally think you have a little bit of a leg up. But the other side of that, not only can the kids sling it, they have big depth at running back. And I think that having 3 guys that can make really substantial, I mean, they had 3 guys that one had like 800 yards last year, one had 700, and the other had 600.
Jeez.
That's to spread the ball
I was going to
around
say, that's
that
a good
much.
sign that they're spreading the ball that much, too.
Exactly.
You know, you got
So-
a lot of experience. And that was my next point that I was going to come up. You can have a team full of unbelievable players, but when you have a lot of experience coming back, that's a recipe for success right in itself. Let's move on to our last storyline to follow. Can Refugio make it back to state for the first time since 2019? And we kind of already have our answer, but we're going to kind of talk through it as grown adults shall. They advanced to the regional final. They have advanced to at least the regional final in every season since Jason Herring took over as head coach. And if you remember last year, they made it to, it was the quarterfinals, right? Or did they make it?
They made it to the regional finals.
They made it to the regional finals
Shiner
and
for
played
the
Shiner.
second year. They lost to Shiner for the second year in a row. They won the year before that.
Yes, and then that was the game that you went to. So
Yeah.
you can talk a lot about a lot of good things about Refugio and if they're going to be able to make it.
Oh,
to
yeah.
state
Well,
once
and
again.
so if you go back to our preseason rankings, obviously they're ranked 3rd. And that's the first time that Refugio has been ranked 3rd. And it's always, y'all all know this, it's Shiner, Refugio. 1-2, 1-2. And now every year that kind of switches off. It depends on what they have coming back, what we're looking at here. I'm going to say right here, I'll make my statement, and Coach Jason Herring is known to make people look like an absolute fool. So if anyone wants to cut this, and if Refugio makes it to the state championship and I look like a total dummy, that's fine. I'm putting my stock into Timpson. So obviously the fun thing about this year is the fact that Shiner and Refugio are in the same district.
Yeah.
That's the fun part. So what that means is we continuously see them in the regional finals. That just means we get 2 Shiner Refugios this year, which for any Texas high school football fan is like the most exciting thing in the world. So we'll get a district game with them, and then the likelihood of us seeing them in the Region 4 regional final, almost put your life savings on it at this point.
Right.
You know, but my thing is I do not think that they will make it back to state. Now, could they beat Shiner? Maybe. Shiner has Dalton Brooks, the younger of the Brooks brothers, like Ashley mentioned earlier. Doug took off, went to Kingsville. Very happy to see him there. Dalton is back. He's committed to A&M. He was always
he is their team.
He is the Brooks brother, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Doug was a fantastic counterpart to it, but I think that Dalton is the Brooks brother. So he's back. Am I saying that Refugio couldn't get Shiner? I think that they could. But what I'm saying, getting to state, is if they beat Shiner, which, again, you have to get through Dalton Brooks, a tough job. If you make it past that, then you have Timpson. And Timpson's coming out of Region 3. Like, they are our Region 3 favorite to come out of there. You've got Terry Bussey at quarterback back, a just loaded team. And I just think that even if they make it past Shiner, you will have played Shiner twice and you have to play Timpson to get to state. That's grueling.
Yeah.
That is grueling.
That's a lot for a good team. And it's hard to beat a good team twice, too. So we're probably going to see that series split halfway down the middle, but
which will be interesting too to see, because like a lot of times we used to see that with like Munster Windthorst when they were back in the same district. We saw that a lot where it was always, hey, you meet here in district, you meet here again in the regional finals, and
because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and a lot of times, I mean, if you literally take a look at the statistics of a lot of teams, it's hard to beat a good team twice. So just because you win in district sometimes doesn't play out that well in that, because they're hungry, they see the finish line, they're coming for revenge. So being able to see that will really be interesting to see how Shiner Refugio plays out in and of itself. And then you have the Bears just looming over Region 3. So 2A Division 1, as always, is going to be really fun. And really, one of the classifications that Region 3 and 4 are almost more fun than 1 and 2. It doesn't always work out that way, but almost consistently, that's how it works out in 2A Division 1.
Right. Well, there you go. That's going to do it for us today. And hey, thanks for letting me sit here.
Oh, yeah. Did you enjoy it?
I think I did. I think I did enjoy it. I did a lot of talking. This is more talking than I usually do.
You
usually
did
I'm just
well.
running the computer.
Everyone give Mallory a round of applause for
yeah.
her first time hosting. Congrats,
well,
lady.
thank you for you guys putting up with me sitting in the hostess chair. Make sure, like I said earlier, to subscribe to us, Women Talking Football on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now on Google Podcasts. That's so. If you don't want to see our face, you can just listen to us.
Yeah.
Which, again, like I said last week, that's
probably the better
I would
option.
choose. Probably the better option here. You can just listen to us talk without having to see our faces. But also subscribe to Dave Campbell's Texas Football. You can go to texasfootball.com to /subscribe. You'll get our magazine now. It's already out on shelves, so if you don't have your copy yet, I would rather you subscribe. Mm-hmm. But you can also go to stores, your local HEB or Tom Thumb.
Oh, and we're already talking about our winter edition, which is our recruiting magazine. So we're already in works for that. So if you subscribe now, we'll send you the winter magazine, and then you'll get your summer magazine for next year.
Right. Well, and you also just want to see the in-depth stats that we have on texasfootball.com too. So just go ahead and subscribe altogether. But before we go, Pickle, do you have any final thoughts? Last thoughts?
No, I mean,
we'll be here next week.
Yeah, we'll be back on Thursday. We've got we got a meeting starting now. Goodbye.
Lovely. Well, with that being said, we'll see you next week on Women Talking Football.